And this one was actually submitted, and he's back there by Johannes Rogus. Respect isn't given, it should be earned. Who agrees? Respect is not given, it should be earned.
I mean, I just think you should, like, even before you know a person, you should at least just give them the benefit of the doubt and give them a little bit of respect. Like, just at least, not even a little bit, just give them some respect.
I disagree because growing up, my mom used to say that respect was due to a dog.
Yeah.
So if you first meet somebody, you should give them some kind of respect. Now, if somebody do something to it, now they lose your respect and then they have to re-earn it, then that's something totally different. But if I'm just meeting you, I'm going to give you some kind of respect because as long as you're giving me respect, I'm going to give you respect back. Now, if you're being rude or disrespectful, then I might kind of take some of my respect back.
Even if that person being rude to you, if they were an adult, if that's your teacher and they're being rude to you,
Now,
respect
if you're an adult, I'm still gonna take my respect back, but now I'm gonna go tell my mom you got me.
One of the things that integration did for me was to show me how different families raise their children. And what is respectful in one family was certainly not respectful in mine. My aunt was a maid, day worker, and she worked all of her life cleaning and cooking for high criminals. Did a good job of it. Called her Big Eunice because there was a Eunice that came after her. So one was Big Eunice and one was Little Eunice. Well, the biggest injustice, if you will, for Big Eunice was when she was accused of not cleaning properly. She felt she was disrespected when she was fighting. So it just all depends on what your background is, what is appropriate in your culture. It is, you disrespect me and you walk through my house with fruit. You know what? You should come tell us. Because I have to climb behind you where you left a mess. You know? So you eat in my house, in the kitchen, or at the table. You know? You don't eat in the bedroom. It's disrespectful to me because you're not respecting my house. Okay? So respect, my friends, young people, has so much, everything for me, respect included, has so much to do with what is acceptable to you. Because what is acceptable to you may be completely unacceptable and disrespectful to others.
If you don't respect others, then you can't expect them to respect you. That's one thing we learned. Again, I kind of split because, as I said before, I grew up in Savannah and I grew up in South Carolina in the country in the summers. And there were two sets of, my grandmother had a whole different set. Some of the stuff I could do in Savannah, I couldn't do in South Carolina because she was a different animal. She's wonderful, but she was an amazing woman that I didn't realize how bad she was. And I mean bad in colloquial sense, you know. But this woman worked as a domestic. She probably made less than $6 a week or $5 a week. But she bought a house and she put my mother through boys at the time was in boarding school. And then she sent her to Benedict College, which on the surface, cleaning, whatever. And then there again comes a respect thing, because the people who she worked for, some of them didn't respect what she did for them. And that is something that, to me, is criminal. But you know, having gotten old, I spend my days now sitting in my easy chair, contemplating and recapitulating the past. And I have a lot of laughs sitting in the chair.
There might be a generation that thinks just because of their age you have to respect them, but they are not worthy of that respect. And some people weaponize that.
In school, with like a teacher or something, or an adult period, it's like being disrespectful towards a child or somebody that is like just younger than them in general. And then if the child, like, I'm not gonna say disrespectful back, but like becomes more rude or it gets disrespectful back, then they wanna say like that child is a bad child and that child is rude or nasty or disrespectful, but they never wanna talk about how like they was being disrespectful first, or how they was being rude or nasty first. But they wanna label the child as rude when you done the same thing. The child just returned your energy.
The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to build its warren. So we all heard, maybe, I think, the phrase that it takes a village to raise a child. So we know that we need all hands on deck. Everybody who knows this child, we need you to help this child, cultivate them to become the best person, human being that they can possibly be. However, going back to this quote, the child who is not embraced by that village will burn it down to build its warren. Do y'all agree? In the room? Everybody agree with that one? Okay. Go ahead.
I agree with this because on the terms that if like I see this like as a child is neglected, and like, you know, most neglected children, they act out, they do bad stuff, they do silly stuff, they go crazy because they're neglected and they're trying to get noticed. So in this instance, the child not feeling the warmth of the village is like basically the child getting neglected, and them burning down the village is them doing the crazy stuff, trying to get the attention and feeling the warmth would be like the acknowledgement or the fact that you see that I'm here. So acknowledging is, yeah.
I really agree, like with what she said, like they feel neglected and they just want to be acknowledged, like just seen.
Do you ever notice, the both of y'all, like, are there some young people that maybe, like, you could tell they never get that one-on-one time with somebody, that nobody really sits down and just talk to them until they're in trouble?
I could tell because like one of my friends, I ain't gonna say no names, but one of my friends, like they do like some real dumb stuff. I be like some of the things they do, it don't make sense that they like, why are you doing that? And I don't think, I'm like, people be joking, people like, is anything okay at home, like when somebody do something dumb? But like, sometimes it really don't be okay at home. And I don't think things are okay at home with her, because she gets into fights, she be screaming, she be yelling, she does like almost everything you can think of, she's done at least once. And so that's why I was like, and that's why I'm really like motherly or protective with my friends, because like, come on now, Brad, come on, just come on, Brad.
What about you? Like, so when you need something and you feel like you ain't getting it, are you vocal? Do you just speak up about it? Like, what's your way?
Usually, like, I'll try to speak up, or maybe like I'll just do something. Cause like usually I speak up about it, and like I'll tell somebody about it if I need, like, just to tell them something.
Okay. What, they burning it down?
You want to go first? I'll go first, and I'll
You can go.
my home training was ladies first. But that's something that's been ingrained in me. And I'd like to say hello to my neighbor too, Kate Green back there. I didn't know started talking, but she made a very good point. Comes from the neighborhood. I think that, I think that this is probably a very true statement, because if it wasn't true, we wouldn't have so much rebellion and crime. And, that just doesn't happen in a vacuum. That just doesn't happen. So if you do not show the child, and I'm talking about the community at large, because we used to have extended communities, extended families, where we got lessons and training, like the Boy Scouts or the 4-H club, things that helped us to learn in a more less stringent environment, like the school. It wasn't formal training, but it was training. I do believe that that's what makes people. Some people, they have to have a feeling of I got to get back. I can't take that. I can't get a self-satisfaction from any other method but to strike back. And unfortunately, I'm probably speaking personally, there's always the first reaction is, I'm going to get you back. And that is a Suzanne trait. It is. So anyhow, so the children, the child, we used to embrace all children in the hood. And when I say hood, that's neighborhood. We used to have neighborhoods. We used to have neighborhoods that now a lot of them have become hoods. But on Anderson Street, the 500 block of East Anderson Street, if I did something, I was corrected by the people in the block. And my mother always gave them permission, and the parents would talk to each other, you see this boy doing something, straighten them out. And they call me because I'm going to straighten them out again when they get home. So I don't know how to differentiate, if you don't, that's common sense, actually. You don't embrace the child. You alienate the child, and you alienate the child or the person, and then they end up striking back. And that causes crime and a whole lot of other stuff.
I wasn't the smartest teacher, but I was a great teacher. Because I knew that if I embraced every child in my classroom for who she or he was and what they brought to the class, that I could not succeed. So the child who was the very best of students, I learned to make them peer teachers. The child who was struggling received from that student who was teaching them, but the child who was going to disrupt wanted to make sure that I was embarrassed. I wanted to make sure that because she didn't know, nobody else would know, I just didn't care. I learned to make them my best friend. And I'm remembering one student who came to me with that attitude. And I was able to engage her in such a way that every morning she would meet me at my door to make sure that she had some private tutoring because I embraced her. The best thing you can do with that person who has the potential to burn the village is to take away the match. And the way you do that is by understanding that they deserve respect too. See where they're coming from and give them the best you got.
Skip to a because I wanted to make sure that, go ahead.
I wanted to make a point that that particular child could be deemed disrespectful, and his reputation precedes him. Therefore, nobody will take the time to talk to him and find out his reasoning of why. Because more times than not, there's a reason why. It's up to you to decide if it makes sense to you, but there's a reason. And the whole question that I was last time is that perspective of the spectrum. It's people use it and don't necessarily reciprocate it back. That's kind of why we earn it, as opposed to I'm a certain age, a certain title, things of that nature. So I get this amount, and because you have a certain age or a certain title, you get less or not as much as me.
Reason I found is actually in an MLK quote. It was a sermon that he shared. It was called "Remaining Awake Through a Great Revolution." It's an excellent sermon, especially like for these times that we're in right now too. So if y'all Google it and read it, it's worth doing so. But in it, he said that it's all right to tell a man to lift himself by his own bootstraps, but it is a cruel jest to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself up by his own bootstraps. For the sake of time, let's go to who disagrees. You disagree. Oh, you got your vote.
Okay, I disagree because when it says put yourself by your bootstraps, that means like get your money up, right? That means like get your money up, be successful, like get it going, right? And I'm not gonna say it's cruel to tell somebody like to put yourself up by their bootstraps if they have got no boots, because not everybody start off with money. Some people start off dirt broke, right? But you still gotta find a way at the end of the day to make your money. So I'm not gonna say it's cruel. It might be a little harsh, but sometimes that's what people need to hear. They need to know that like you need to get up, get yourself together, and go make your money. Whether you got a boot or don't got no boots, go get your own boots. Then you can tie yourself up.
Our other expression is a way out of no way.
A way out of no way, and that's a compliment, what Hollyn just said. Does anybody else disagree with this here statement?
Oh, no, I'll raise my hand.
Okay.
I agree with what she's saying. At the end of the day, you have the boots, but you do not have the boots. Somebody making a reference that you don't have the boots shouldn't stop you from moving forward, in my opinion. And if it does, you're going to make your journey a little longer. Watching yourself, make yourself sad because of what you do not have. I understand the sentiment behind the quote, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, today's going to be it. So at the end of the day, you still have to get to where you're trying to go. And dwelling in what you do not have, I don't think it's conducive to where you're trying to go. So I do understand what you're doing.
But at the end of the day, it's gonna be worth it. Whether you got no boots or you got shoes or sandals or no shoes at all or nothing, just get your bread up, right? It's gonna be okay.
We would not have succeeded in this country if we didn't pull ourselves up by our bootstraps about what we had within us. Because the deck was stacked against us. But I wanted to say something too earlier, but we used to be a community. And I'm talking about community. I'm talking about a community of black people all over the country, all over the world. In Savannah, if there was ever a movie that Lena Horne or Dorothy Dandridge had a small part in, or just a cameo appearance, people would line up to get in the movie because when they succeeded, we succeeded. There was a feeling of yeah, well, you like it, there was a feeling of pride that we had for anybody who exceeded or succeeded, and excelled, and that used to happen a lot. But when Joe Lewis knocked out somebody, y'all know who Joe Lewis is.
He's from Hubert.
But Joe Lewis was probably, they called Muhammad Ali the greatest, and he was one of the greatest. I shook his hand and met him, but Joe Lewis held the heavyweight championship for 12 years, taking on all comers. And when he fought, Black America stopped and turned on the radio. We had no televisions, but we all had a sense of pride. When Jackie Robinson made it in the big leagues, we all felt proud. When Ralph Bunch mediated the crisis in the middle, Ralph Bunch, for you youngsters who may not know who he is, check him out. He was the man who mediated the crisis in the Middle East in 1948, because they've been fighting for a long time. It didn't just started. But he was a great man. He was a scholar. He was a thinker. Ralph J. Bunch, I think his middle initial was J. But we all felt a sense of pride. And if I think we lost that to a certain extent, some of it anyhow. But it was amazing to see speaking of Savannah, I saw Joe Lewis down in the Star Theater on West Broad Street. This is now Martin Luther King. If you pay attention, young people, to what's happening today, our history is trying to, people are trying to steal our history and tell us it's not true. You don't have a history. And I was down in Florida, that man was crazy. But anyhow, I think that you, what was I talking about? That's the problem of becoming an elder. Yeah, but yeah, you have, I think that you have to, and if you do that, you can do it if you believe it. And I've known people who came from the dust, who rose to the top. I think that we have to think about doing pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps, because everybody wants to succeed, but then the success is hard to come by if you don't have any boots at all. But that's what I think.
I think we also, boots or not, we have to have some idea. There has to be a substantiated goal in mind. Because as you named those heroes from our era, I'm thinking about heroes and heroines of today. Money is so good. I love it. I really do.
Amen.
But it's not, and I don't have it. But here's the deal. It's not the end all. I'm thinking of people in stardom and in literature and in other places that might be quantified as success that aren't successful to me. Because I don't want my grandchildren emulating the behavior of the people who are put in the media. And we tell America, we tell the world, this is who black people are. It's not true. And many of them have come along the bootstrap way. You know what I'm saying? So what we need to be teaching our children, parents and grandparents, is to have an end in mind. Yeah, you want to get there, but what is it that you're really aiming to do? My take.
Does anyone in the audience have a strong opinion about this here MLK quote?
Oh, yeah. I agree with MLK because the spirit in which he said it is that You know, when someone at the sight of you tells you that, they are trying to put you down. They are not trying to help you up. Now, it's okay to say, you know, okay, you haven't got boots, but you've got spirit. And, you know, it's a reflection really on the person who is trying to put you down. I've seen enough of that in my life.
That person needs to have more compassion, not really about the person who was bootless. So we all know how it feels when someone says, well, I had a house at 25, why you don't have a house? Or like, I had a wife or a husband and children, and you're at this age, why didn't you have that? So that's what I feel like that is saying, like, it's not having compassion for where that person is, even if they don't have the boots. And it's like skipping steps. Just because you had that in your bag when you was going, it doesn't mean the person you need has that for them. So it's a lack of compassion to say, well, you need to pull yourself up by bootstraps you don't have without telling them how to, or just giving advice on how to get the boots. So yeah, it's more so about the person saying it and not about the bootless person.
The person that talks about the bootstraps, who didn't have the bootstraps, but somehow someone helped them along the way, and now they have the bootstraps, but they don't want to share the straps with anybody else. So that's where it's a little bit more egregious to me.
Is said by the government a lot. This is like a sentiment at large. And what it's like failing to address is that like some people don't have bootstraps like from the government, by the system, like systemically been put down for years and years and years. And so for everyone to think like, oh, you should be able to like get yourself up. But it's like we're not all starting at the same place because of the state, because of what's been done.
I don't understand the sentiment really that goes along with that. My only concern with that is I have family members who take that and they will sit in that, and now we don't know what the next step is. If you're discussing it with me, hey, Lorenzo, I don't have that book that you're talking about. And if I'm irresponsible enough to just let you sit in there, then I understand where that animosity comes from. But I am going to give you what I believe can help you get your own boot that you can actually have a handle on. But we can't sit there and say that, well, I don't have a boot. I can't do what you have made yourself out to be. I've never been a proponent in that, but I do understand we do not all have the same background. We are not from the same circumstances. And to her point, people who do stay, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, it's usually for people who have not done so. Or who don't really know what a bootstrap is. I think I heard exactly. Not to get political, I think I heard Trump say something like that, but my father only gave me $1 million.
Small.
And I turned to ex my dad is not a bootstrap in my life. But I just wanted to say I'm not an evil-eyed person. I make mention that. No, I don't want to just dwell on the fact that I did not have the boots that you currently have. Tell me how to get those boots, or help me go get that boot, because at the end of the day, I do have to now turn myself into what I want to become.
Very difficult backgrounds financially, and now they got this contract. Now they're millionaires after signing one piece of paper, but after so many years, it's all gone. So it's like, yeah, like I might have pulled myself up. I got it now, but I didn't have no boots. Nobody ever taught me how to manage this thing, what to do with it. So just as fast as I got it, it's about you.
I want to say something to add to what he said. It is the resources. If you're telling somebody, like I'm telling my kids, justice and legend, justice, your shoes are ready. We're about to go outside, we're about to go on the ball. If one has on shoes and one not, I have to say, hey, you know what? Here's your shoes. Make sure you go get your shoes. Go get your shoes. And I say that because it makes me think about my business. I used to work at a bank, and the things that people would say about finances and financial literacy, just banking terms, that would blow my mind. And I would be angry. I was like, oh my God, these people don't know, because I used to work in a different socio-economic for the neighborhood that I was in was totally different to when I came in town and started working in town. But I was come frustrated, and my best friend told me, like, if you know what you know, tell those people. You have to let them know. And I mean, again, people need resources. Where can I find some boots? what do I need to do to get my boots on? Yeah, and I think if you're telling somebody that, you should at least provide them with resources of how they can better themselves to get their boots.
Because you don't talk, sir.
Now, I am, oh, go ahead. I said ladies first.
Thank you. That's so profound because our roots now could be homelessness or coming up in a system where we had to wait to the first of the month to get the bootstraps, or one parent household or no parent households. Your boots aren't necessarily on your feet, you know? And we have to recognize that and appreciate people for wherever their boots are coming from.
Right.
That's something powerful.
I had this quote that I wanted to share, and I was trying to find a good place to interject this quote. Anyhow, the quote is, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. And that's a quote from Winston Churchill during World War II.
Success is not final. Failure is
Success
not fatal.
Failure is
It's
not
not
fatal.
fatal.
It's the courage to continue that counts.
Oh, yeah, I like that one too. Yeah, I like that one too. I need to read more on Winston Churchill because I agree with so many of his quotes, but I don't know nothing much about him. But I be agreeing with a monster.
Well, you just made the quote, you don't know much about him, and this is kind of off, but you were talking about language and Geechee earlier and the Harlem Renaissance and how people wanted to speak in a proper way. How many people know about Zora Neale Hurston, who was studying the language and the culture here? And in that whole period, she was ostracized by some of those artists who were, so that's another way that artists also have, and she didn't think of it as a responsibility. She thought of it as part of her culture and a part of what needed to be recorded.
Yes.
So that's another way of, looking at how do we, if we go back and study who we are. I mean, I've learned so much since I've been in Savannah about being from the South, originally, who are my ancestors, trying to find out who are the people I came from. And I have to say, I grew up in Fairbanks, Alaska. And in Fairbanks, Alaska, the same thing happened there. The people in the community watched all the kids. If you got into somebody's car and you weren't supposed to, my mother was at the front door, waiting there. One time I did that. And it was only a 2-second ride to get home. But all the neighbors, no matter what color they were, took care of the young people. And I think that's what's missing. Do you say hello, older people being afraid to say hello to young people who pass by the neighborhood? My neighborhood around the corner used to be, you'd say hello to everyone. How do you do?
Yes.
Are you a neighbor? Or do you live in the neighborhood? You'd say hello to all the kids. And I don't think people do that anymore.
When do you think that about stopped? The 90s, after, before?
It's going on right now. It's happening. It's not even when it started, but it's continuing. And I think that's, my almost becoming disappointed with Savannah because I came here, everybody said hello, good morning, whether they like it or not. They still have respect and good manners. And the young people, if we don't show respect to our young people and greet them joyfully, no matter what they're doing, or it's taught to talk with them, then they can't have respect for us.
And I often wonder myself personally, just my own curiosity, if that's like, I call it city invasion. It's like, everybody wanted to be more city-like, and I grew up, and whether or not it's true, with the adage that in the city, people don't even make eye contact, they don't speak with you, but when you come south, everybody speak to you, and da-da-da-da-da. But as other places becoming more and more urban and industrial and bigger and more faster paced, we're losing our things.
Everyone's culture's being lost.
Everyone's culture's being lost.
No matter what color they are, I see that. Just traveling around. And I came here from places where there were many cultures of people, so we took it for granted. But coming to Savannah and learning, Gullah Geechee. My mother used to say, those Geechee talking people who eat rice. That's the West Coast. And middle, the country of St. Louis, that's how people thought, Geechee speaking people. But that's a language, it's not slang, it's a language. And I think there's a difference between, we don't have a problem with other people speak with accents.
Right.
And, when they're from other cultures. And we need to think of our language in that same way.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We have about 10 more minutes. Hollyn had a personal request. I skipped one of them, so I'm gonna just circle it back and I'm gonna let y'all two answer. And that is just that, okay, you're 13, you're 15. I'm gonna say super grown folks understand you? Do we understand what makes you excited?
Maybe, yeah, kind of.
And if you're going through something, if you're kind of struggling a little bit emotionally, do we understand that?
No, not really. I mean, kind of. It depends.
Okay. And then you hear a lot of us who might say, like, there ain't nothing new under the sun. Like, ain't nothing new. Whatever you've been through, I've been through it, whatever. Do you agree with that?
No.
Why?
I mean, because there could be like a different issue, like even, because maybe y'all didn't have cell phones, there could be an issue with your cell phone or something like that. I mean, like a personal issue going on through text messages, you guys wouldn't understand that.
Maybe like they was passing letters around about me in class.
I know, but like social media.
Yeah. Most older people, I'm not gonna say every older person, but most older person, they don't understand, nor do they like try to understand. Cause like it was at one point in time, it was low in my life. I had told my grandma like I just wasn't feeling it. And she was like, you just need a nap and a snack, you'll be alright. I done had several naps, then had several snacks. And it was just like certain things like that I don't think most elderly people understand. Most seasoned people don't get it. And I'm not saying everyone, but like I've seen certain examples where somebody that tried to like come out to their grandmother and the grandmother was like, no. What do you mean no? I'm telling you like this is who I am, you just be like, no, you're just lost, just confused. No, I'm not. Just a phase.
Are there any kind of questions you can ask or other kinds of ways you can sort of respond with respect? Because I know that whole issue of growing up. We grew up in a generation where you were supposed to be seen and not heard.
I hate that same
You couldn't ask any questions. Mm-hmm. And is there a way for young people to figure out how or what format, whether she says it's that, how can you get to your grandma to help her remember maybe something when she was young? Mm-hmm. Even the same kind of thing having been said to her, probably. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I grew up with that saying like you should be seen, not heard, because I'm a very loud person. And so like the saying you should be seen, not heard, I grew up like despising or like hating that saying, because like what if I want to be seen? I don't always like, what if I want to be heard? Why do I always have to be seen? I'm loud, so let me be heard. And that's what like you should be seen, not heard makes you say like, it like when I grew up, I was like, okay, so my voice just doesn't count. Because I didn't need to be heard, I was meant to be seen. And so growing up, I was like, okay, well my voice it must not matter that much, or like my input must not matter that much if I'm supposed to be seen, but I'm not supposed to be heard.
All right, going back to grandmama, do you want her to understand you?
I do, and I be trying, but like I be getting frustrated. I just be shutting down the whole conversation.
So instead of shutting down, like maybe, so even because sometimes it's easier to think about solutions for other people than for ourselves. So say you had a homegirl and she was kind of going through a similar thing with her grandmama, but she wanted her grandmother to understand. What's something she could tell her grandmother or remind her grandmother about her own younger life to make her better understand her granddaughter, what her granddaughter's going through?
I don't know, because like,
I think that's hard.
Because a lot of elders still don't they're not talking to the youth about what they went through,
That's
what
true.
the conversation is missing. So That's why these don't know how to have the conversation back.
That's so
You know what I'm
true.
saying?
In a way, I feel like I had to, like halfway through my life, 50-some years, I'm just learning things about my life and family that I wasn't allowed to even ask or think, wait, there's a painting I have home with the white eyes. That's the expression I learned. The white eyes, he would hear his mother talking on the phone, and kids would have to listen, but you didn't get the full story. I feel as if I am just now at my age, finally getting the story about things I wish that I could have asked from, my father, my mother, or my aunts, anybody, to find out what they went through. And I don't know that's the thing, how do young people figure out a way to ask?
Let me tell you what my granddaughter did. She was, my granddaughter, who was a senior last year, she was now first in college. My granddaughter was trying to communicate her emotions and her feelings and her expressions to her mother. And the communication wasn't there. She wrote a play. Invited all of her friends and her mother to it. And just the other day, my daughter said, I don't want to have to go to a theater to know what my child feels. So you might have to be creative. You might have to do you might have to do things her way and pull her into a place so that, don't do it all at one time, but just say, well, I think, or I wish, and just kind of pull your grandma in.
And you all have better voices, you have more freedom now in this society to do that.
Proud Georgia. Let's hear from the proud Georgia teacher.
Two things that for me personally what worked for me is I would always find a song that expressed, because like I said, seeing not heard, so it took me until like maybe 30 to find my voice and be comfortable. So it was always for me, I would find a song, give it to her, play it to her. And then I remember sometimes she was like, my mom was like, you don't get to listen to that. What you mean you feel this way? But so it was a barrier, but still she was able to at least understand what my emotions and my words were at that time. But then with my girls, sometimes I think as parents, you already lived it, so you know it's not that big of a deal, and you kind of discredit it. But I have to remember in their mind, at their state, is a big deal. And what triggers it for me is when my daughter will say, Mama, have you ever experienced, or Mama, do you know what it feels like for X, Y, Z? And that's my light bulb moment to think back to that time. And even though I'm not willing to share it with them, I do remember, and then now I'm able to tell them how to navigate through that process so that they can get to the other side where it's not a big deal to them either. So, like I said, just finding creative ways to figure out what works to get that person to understand what you're saying without knowing all the words and how to reach them.
So, my undergraduate degree is in theater, and in theater, they always teach you to understand the character. What's the character analysis? Like that old term, what's my motivation? Right. So, for you, young lady, I would kind of like think about it like this. Does your grandmother tell you to be seen and not heard? Does she say that to you specifically? My question would be, why are you asking me to do that? Why are you saying that? What's the reason behind this? Because I think some of it may be cultural.
I got grounded.
I'm sorry?
I tried and I got grounded.
Will you ask her why?
I asked her why, and she said because I said so, and I had my phone taken for like a good month or two.
I can only speculate with this, just based on a little bit of research that I have done. I think that it's a generational thing that's been passed down for some form of protection, so that you're not to make yourself noticeable, to draw attention to yourself in order to protect you. Right. So, I think along the generations it has become misconstrued in a way that can be detrimental to people, because we're not facing the same type of horrors of violence that was once in the past. So I think it's, a lot of times people say that and they don't even know why they're saying it. But I think that the young lady back there had a good way of addressing it. Instead of going directly to your grandmother, maybe say, Grandma, have you ever felt like this? What did you do when you were feeling like this? Can you give me some advice? Maybe come at it from a different perspective.
So we have to stop. But I want to remind you too, it's a survey in your bag. It was a folded piece of paper. So if y'all can complete that like